Welcome, I'm Cory Bonnet. This is the first major museum exhibition of the Patterns of Meaning project that I founded in 2021. Patterns of Meaning is a collection of wooden foundry patterns that were salvaged from different locations and have been, reimagined and incorporated into artwork, hopefully to, pay some tribute and honor to our shared industrial heritage. I'm an oil painter. For the last 20 years, I've been creating representational artwork using dry pigments and oils. I grew up in Pittsburgh, so industry and steel have just been a part of my life since I can remember. And when I had access to get this collection of foundry patterns and to use them in my artwork, it was too good of an opportunity to pass up. For years, I've been working with salvage materials, and what I liked the most about them was that they're not perfectly clean surfaces to work on. Anytime I come up to a perfectly clean panel or canvas, the thought is I'm going to ruin this. When I start a project like on this pattern that has screws still sticking out of it, holes in it, and you can really see the grain and rough edges, there's so much on that panel already, character in that panel, that it allows me to kind of, apply washes of paint and then watch how it reacts to all the imperfections in the grain, and that directs me a little bit. I'm kind of pulling a painting out of the panel as opposed to painting on top of the panel. The plan doesn't always go perfect. Things change, and the way that paint is absorbed can be totally different panel to panel, and that can kind of dictate the finished piece. So I'm using salvaged wooden foundry patterns, and what they were used for is some of the most incredible imagery that's out there. If you go to a foundry today, you can still see these processes in play where workers are controlling these massive forces and really just creating out of nothing, which is a very artistic process. Even though it's manufacturing and it's functional, it has all the hallmarks of just regular creative process. So these are pieces that are cast in glass using the patterns in a simple sand casting process. So where you'd actually take the wooden pattern, or in this case a core, press it in the sand, and then pour the glass in, and you end up with a brand new object. This is one of the larger pieces that I've created for this project. It's a painting of the Edgar Thomson Mill in Braddock, Pennsylvania, right down the river from Pittsburgh. One of the oldest mills in the United States that's still functioning. It has run 24/7 since 1875, continuous casting. At its prime, I think there were 8,000 people a shift working there. The reason I painted it so big was to kind of capture the scale of these buildings, of these mills, and try to convey a little bit of the idea. You have 8,000 people working 3 shifts for 24 hours a day. The amount of time and the lives spent in these mills just to create the things that we all take for granted today. So I call this project Patterns of Meaning. I think it's a great name for what we're doing, but there's a real purpose behind that, because all of these patterns here were used for a very specific purpose. These are wooden foundry patterns that they would use to cast actual steel parts. And to do that, they would first have to construct these out of wood by hand, then press them into sand, remove the pattern, and pour the steel in to get the finished part. I was talking about grain and the materials earlier, and one of those pieces that just exemplifies this process of how I'm not really sure how it's going to work before I start the painting is this piece here. This is on maple panel, and once I started to apply the washes to it, the grain really started to come out and create this beautiful atmospheric perspective. It looks like a smoky foundry in here, and creates an abundance of detail that I actually didn't have to paint. It's letting the material work together with my pigments and oils and it creates that effect. You know, there's a lot more. This is a small portion of the collection that we have. We're headquartered in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's where you can find the Patterns of Meaning workshop and exhibit hall. But you can also get more information, and you can really support this project. You can go to patternsofmeaning.org and see some more of our work and hear about our story. Or you can see us on all the social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Just look up Patterns of Meaning.